Yeah, yeah. Young T, AZ. I'm on cloud 9 in my Airbnb, up in Third Eye Blind, which the homies could see. In the trenches being all they can be. I said, nah, I ain't crippin', but dawg, wait and see. Hard to tell the difference between good and bad in the G. Killed another, I'm just glad it wasn't me. Dogs gotta eat, better check your pedigree. It's hard to pay attention to the noise when you're free.
What's good, creative fan? Brandon Washington here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at this guy. This is my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K complete rig breakdown, or my AKA Baby Alexa Mini. Now, I absolutely love the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. This has been my main shooter of choice for about the last year. Wow, that's kind of crazy to think, but I've had this camera for about a year, and over the time the rig has been broken down and redone multiple times with different cages, but I finally think I've got it at a suitable point that I'm excited to share with you guys. Now, typically when it comes to rigs, most people tend to forget some of the small things that actually bring the whole rig together, and so I want to make sure that you guys know everything that goes into this rig, so that way if you have any questions, they're all answered, and I'll obviously have links to all the products down below in the description. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this rig breakdown. So this here is my complete Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera rig. One quick little disclaimer is that the only thing that really changes on this rig when I'm actually out filming client projects is the monitor. Right now, I have a Field World little cheap 5-inch monitor on here, and that is because I'm actually using my typical monitor, the Ninja 5, to actually help record this video. I'm doing 10-bit out of the EOS R into that, so I had to put a monitor up here so you guys can still get an idea for how this entire thing is all put together. But this here is the entire cage. I guess the best place to start is just to start at the beginning and then work our way through the entire deal. So starting up here at the very front, I have the Polar Pro, what the hell is this thing called? Polar Pro Summit? Is that what it's called? What's it called? Base Camp. Polar Pro Base Camp. All right, so at the front here, I have the Polar Pro Base Camp matte box. And the thing I like about this matte box in particular is that it actually just clips onto the front of my Zine lens here. Now, this whole front little matte box system is really easy to use, and it's super lightweight, which is one of the big things that I like about it. Obviously, when you go with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, it's a lightweight camera. Clearly, after you build it out, it's not super lightweight, so you're looking to save weight at any chance you can. And the matte box is typically a super heavy area, and so I was able to actually save a lot of weight by going with this one. Now, this matte box system is not perfect, but it does have a lot of really good things going for it. The first thing that I really like is the fact that it has this built-in flag, and it's just a top flag, which is typically where you're gonna get most of your actual lens flares from, and it just works as a great way to protect the filters and things while you're actually out shooting. The other thing that I really like about this matte box system is the actual filter system itself. So you have these slide-in filters which work out really well, and the thing I like about them is that they are variable. Variable ND filters is something that I've been using on my mirrorless and DSLR cameras for a really long time, and so I love the fact that this thing has variable ND filters, so that way I can dial in my exposure perfectly. It also comes with like a circular polarizer as well, which is kind of works in tandem with the variable ND filters, and it works out really great, and I love this thing so much. And it can even be stripped down even further. If I actually want to go ahead and close this guy here and then unclip these two little prongs, so basically taking off my flag, you can see that I still have my variable ND filter right here. It's exposed at the top, obviously, but I could actually strip it down if I needed to cut off a little bit of weight. But typically, I never do that. I actually like to have the whole thing on there because it, one, helps protect the camera, but two, it just makes the thing look better, and that's kind of important to me. I know it's shallow, but hey, I really like it. Now when I bought the Polar Pro matte box, I did get the 2 to 5 stop and I got the 6 to 9 stop variable ND. Pretty much anytime I'm using the 2 to 5 stops is typically when I'm like filming indoors because it's really not that great for shooting outdoors. It typically doesn't darken it enough. But if I'm shooting outside, I'll be shooting on the 6 to 9 variable NDs. I don't have any problems with color shifting, and quite honestly, if you want an entire review on this product, I can make that. So just leave a comment down below with any questions you may have about it. But all in all, I do love this system and I think it works out great for the next thing that I want to talk about, which is my Zine Prime lens. My Zine Prime lens, yeah. The next thing I want to talk about, which is my Zine Prime lens. So just to make this a little bit easier, I'm just going to go ahead and actually take this guy off. So I'll just unscrew here and just slide off the matte box just like that. So the next item on the list is my 50mm Zine Prime. Now this is currently the only Zine Prime that I own, but it's not the last one I plan on actually picking up. My plan is to pick up not only the 24, but also the 85. And as far as I'm concerned, if I have all three of those primes, I should be good to go. But this is the EF model, and I think that this works as a really, really great cinema lens. I haven't had any issues with it whatsoever, other than the fact that it is super heavy. It is very heavy, especially for a system like this, because as of right now, I have my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. Connected to that is a Metabones Micro Four Thirds to EF mount adapter. And then next to that obviously is the Zine lens. And with that heavy weight, it can be, well, initially it was a little bit of an issue. So in order to fix this problem, Condor Blue, which is who the cage is made after, which we're gonna get to that in just a moment, they actually make an adapter in order to support the Metabones, which ultimately helps you to support the lens better. Other than that, I had no problems with this lens, and this lens, in my opinion, is simply beautiful. Even when you're shooting this thing at like T4, you're able to get some really, really great looking bokeh. And quite honestly, I love this lens. I think it looks great. It looks awesome on the camera, and it just has a beautiful look in general. The bokeh looks awesome, and so for this type of a setup, it is perfect. So moving on from the lens, let's go ahead and hop into my follow focus system. Now I am using the Tilta Nucleus N, which is their smaller, cheaper, or less expensive wireless follow focus system. Now I was going to actually pick up a manual follow focus system. I honestly found that it was just smarter to just go wireless. I mean, at this point, I might as well go wireless. It would make the system a lot easier, and if I ever needed to do any wireless follow focus kind of pulling, I could absolutely do that, and the price difference wasn't that crazy. So the thing that I really liked about this follow focus system was the fact that you could actually set hard stops on the system itself. So typically we're using manual focus, like focus pullers, you actually have to kind of move these little knobs on the side in order to hit hard stops. But what I love is the fact that you can actually program hard stops into the Nucleus N, and it works flawlessly. Now it does come with this little clamp here that you can actually attach to the side of your cage, which is what I've done. But as I mentioned, you can take this whole thing off. I happen to be powering it right now off of the V-mount battery, which we're gonna get to. But you can see here that I can actually pull focus wirelessly, even though nothing is actually touching the camera other than I'm just getting power from my V-mount battery. All right, so the next thing I guess we can quickly talk about are some of the accessories that I'm using to actually run this whole deal. So the first one is how I actually capture footage. I am using a Samsung T5 drive. I have a 1TB drive that I use, and personally I just use it because they're super inexpensive and they work great for being able to capture not only 1080, 4K, but also all the slow motion frame rates. So I love being able to shoot all that on this T5 1TB drive, and I actually have this is just attached to a cold shoe on the side. The main reason I have it down here versus on top like a lot of other cages is because honestly I just want it kind of out of the way, because I typically like to shoot by holding the top of the camera, holding it by the handle, and so I didn't want to have anything kind of in the way, so I just pushed it off to the side, and then I'm just using some basic cable ties to actually move everything out of the way. Next thing that we're gonna hop into, like I said, there's some other minor accessories, is this guy here. This is the Metabones, and I kind of talked about it before. I want you guys to know exactly which one I'm using. So this guy here is the Metabones EF to Micro Four Thirds mount. It is the Speed Booster XL 0.64. So this thing works for me in a lot of different great solutions. The first being is that I pretty much own almost all EF lenses. So this makes sure that my lenses are always going to be compatible with the system. Also at the 0.64, it's almost full frame. It's actually just a little bit cropped in other than full frame, but it definitely gets this Micro Four Thirds closer to full frame, which means not only am I going to be able to let in more light, but it's also going to help me get a shallower depth of field, and it's going to allow me to, when I'm shooting at 50 millimeters, it's almost going to look just like 50 millimeters versus 50 millimeters looking closer to something like 85 millimeters. So I absolutely love this Metabone Speed Booster. It's worked out great for the camera. It honestly never comes off. I don't own any Micro Four Thirds lenses. This is the way to go. As I mentioned before, having that lens support for the Metabones was definitely clutch, especially when I added on this follow focus system, so that way the lens wasn't wobbling up and down. It actually locked everything in place and everything works smoothly. So quickly, let's talk about the monitor. Now, as I mentioned before, right now I have the Field World on here, but I typically use the Ninja 5. Now, the main reason why I use the Ninja 5 is because not only is it just a great monitor, but it is also a recorder. Something that I've been doing recently and still sort of testing, so let me know if you guys want to know more information about this, is I've been shooting Blackmagic RAW internally and then having it go to ProRes on the Ninja 5, seeing if there's some type of easy workflow where I can take the Blackmagic RAW footage, send that stuff off to a colorist, start editing my video using ProRes from the Ninja, and then just kind of, you know, do a quick little footage swap after it's all said and done. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to make that whole workflow work, but that is one of the main reasons why I go with the Ninja 5. The other reason why I like having the Ninja 5 is because of its size. Very much too like this little Field World. I just have a little HDMI cable that's all of like 6 inches, and I just have it kind of routed straight into the camera, which means that it works really great with this small rig top handle, and it almost kind of works like a Red, where it just kind of has this little bit of a pivot. I'm not typically needing my monitor to really go anywhere else, but I definitely have to have a monitor because on the back of my camera is my entire power solution. On the back of the camera here is a Soonwell power plate, which is going to allow me to attach my V-mount battery to it, which also just happens to be a Soonwell V-mount battery, because quite honestly, in my opinion, it's the best one. It has 2 DTAP ports, it has a full-size USB port, and then on the actual Soonwell power V-mount plate itself, it also gives me another DTAP port and a couple little power ports as well, which typically does a great job at powering everything. At a moment's notice, I mean, this battery works out great. I mean, at a moment's notice, I can be powering the camera, I can be powering the monitor, the follow focus gear, and the follow focus tourney thingy, whatever you call that thing, and literally still have some power ports left behind to power anything else I may need to power, like a wireless transmitter with the Hollyland system that I have. Now, as far as the cables that I use to power this, I pretty much use all Condor blue cables because in my opinion, I like the color, like they have like this really cool blue color to them, and it makes it really easy to know where everything is. I know it maybe makes things stand out or makes the cable stand out with the cage, but at the end of the day, this cage is already massive, so what are a couple extra cables gonna do? Doesn't really bother me, but I do like how the entire system kind of comes together. Now, as far as the cage, as I mentioned before, the main body, the cage for the entire thing is a Condor blue cage, and this is their Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera cage, and it's perfectly designed for it. It is a full cage, so I'm gonna have thread points all over this thing. It does have a cold shoe port here, but typically what I find is that you can't really attach anything to this cold shoe just on the fact that it's a little bit too close to this little quick release system that they have up here at the front. So I really wouldn't recommend using this cold shoe or planning to use this cold shoe, but at the end of the day, you can add extra cold shoes on the side with all the different threads that you have. And then last but not least, the whole thing is being supported on this awesome small rig railing system. This just allows me to add the rails, which ultimately is holding on the power pack on the back and my motor system on the front. Now I'm just using some little short 6-inch rails. If I was going to be using a different type of mat box that needed a rail system, I would have to get longer rails, but again, that would just add more weight, and that is the reason why I absolutely love this Polar Pro mat box system, because it allows me to use it without needing to attach it to rails. I literally just clamp my mat box onto the front of my camera and I am good to go. And as you can see, everything stays nice and compact, and I am ready to get out and start filming. But there you have it. That is my full Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera Baby Alexa Mini rig breakdown. I personally love this rig. I think that it is perfect for my needs. As far as I'm concerned, when it comes to cameras for the price and everything else, the money that you save on getting such a high-end type camera like the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, and the ability to then take some of that extra money and invest it into things to rig it out, I think that it is the best bang for your buck when it comes to cinematic cameras. Now, obviously, when it comes to shooting with a cinema camera, you have to know a little bit more, so it's not the easiest learning curve, but as far as I'm concerned, this is definitely the professional rig. And if you are looking at building out a rig similar to this, I have links to all the products down below in the description. But there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I personally think I didn't leave anything out. I don't believe so. I think I pretty much nailed it all. But if I did forget anything, please leave your questions down below in the comments. I'll do my best to answer those, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.